Well, California is at the center of American manufacturing output, with 1.2 million people in the Golden State cashing their paychecks thanks to jobs in the industry. That, according to the governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. But there is a desperate need for even more to sign on for a shift. Lance Hastings, CEO and president of California's Manufacturers and Technology Association, with me now live to discuss how the industry fills a growing need. Lance, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Love talking about workforce issues.
Well, May of last year, we were looking at a state skills gap of about 600,000 workers in your industry. Now, a new report from Deloitte's Research Center shows the country could be short almost 2 million employees in the next 9 years. What's going on here? Are folks just not considering building their futures in this sector of the economy? Or is the state of the industry just leapfrogging ahead faster than training can keep up?
Well, I think we have a two-dimensional problem. So we have a series of retirements that have been happening for the last 5 to 10 years. They're going to accelerate, particularly here in California. We call it the silver tsunami, that our industry folks have been on the job for maybe 20 years, 30 years, are going to leave their roles. And it's compounded by the fact that the new millennial workforce really wants to work at a place maybe 3 to 5 years. So we have to address both of those at the same time, and it's been quite a challenge.
Talk to me about technology-enabled productivity. There's been a 75% jump in kind of the need for simulation and simulation software skills, and maybe people aren't looking at that particular area.
Yeah, so the skills gap is really one of the third dimension really of our problem that we're facing, because manufacturing is highly skilled, highly technical now. It's not the old days of sparks and things flying around the workplace. There's computers, a lot of CNC machinery requires a different skill set than what we've known in the past, particularly over the last 50 years. And it's that skills gap compounded with the narrative that not a lot of future employees coming out of either high school or early college are looking at the manufacturing sector for a job. And that's our role really at CMTA, to make sure that we promote the narrative and really attract people to the sector.
Well, we know that community colleges are really having like a renaissance, with the federal government really pushing the value of the trades and what a good living can be made without a 4-year degree. But for Californians, for Americans, to be prepared for some of what's out there in manufacturing, you actually might need an engineering degree or a degree in computer science for these high-level technical roles.
Absolutely. And the community colleges, I'm glad you brought that up, is a key cog in the wheel, because you can get a credential or a certificate even before your 2-year AA attainment, and then you can really get off to the races in the manufacturing sector. So I really believe that those community colleges and the relationships they have with high schools across the state are going to really prove to be a major catalyst for the future workforce.
Flexibility seems to be the watchword in just every single industry these days, and California is home to more than 35,000 manufacturing firms. Now, in order to attract the huge number of workers needed before 2033, the heads of those firms really need to consider that potential employees are looking for something like ample parental leave. They're looking for child care help, right?
Yeah, on the benefit side of things, I think we do have some more capabilities. It's that flexible work schedule that's really compounded, because often our facilities are 2- and 3-shift facilities, 24/7, and it's really difficult to work for 3 hours and maybe take a 1 or 2 hour break and then come back. So that's one of our bigger challenges. But the array of benefits that we can offer, what I'll call the soft benefits, manufacturers are among the most generous and flexible, because we do need to attract that talent. And we know that we have to go outside of the old sandbox to kind of figure out what that looks like.
And what are you counting as a soft benefit?
Well, like you said, the child care opportunities, 401k matching, things that distinguish us from other industry sectors. I think manufacturers are really stepping up, particularly those small to medium manufacturers that have workforces anywhere from 20 to 80 people. They really need to be competitive here in California.
Current President Biden and his presumptive opponent, former President Donald Trump, both are leaning into bolstering manufacturing as a major feature of their campaigns. Should there be incentives to help companies expand their former mentoring options or rotational work streams so employees can get cross-trained and develop a wider set of skills?
Yeah, the fact we have a partnership with the government is very helpful. Here in California, the Employment Training Panel has been very supportive of the manufacturing sector by helping us train employees for the future, and I think that's great. And the best thing is to have the manufacturing narrative discussed at the national stage, because that keeps the United States competitive across the global economy in the manufacturing space. So I'm glad that the presidential candidates are talking about it, members of Congress are talking about it, our partners at the National Association of Manufacturers, who did the study jointly with Deloitte, They're in the front lines of it. So I think we're really in a renaissance time to not only attract those workers for the future, but really excel, because the gap really over the next 10 years is probably close to 3 million employees. And we need to attract them across the country. And California represents about 10% of all of those figures that are included in the study.
35,000 firms just in California alone. Definitely something to consider. Lance, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.